All right, welcome back. So we've already covered a noun's case, its gender, and its number. Today, we're tackling that final crucial piece of the puzzle, definiteness. In Arabic, this property is called wusaat, and trust me, getting a handle on this is going to completely change how you look at nouns. You know, in English, there's a world of difference between saying, I read a book and I read the book, right? One is just some random book, the other is super specific. That little distinction is everything. So the big question is, how does Arabic pull off that same critical job of specifying things? Well, that's exactly what we're about to dive into. The official term for this whole concept is wusa. The best way to think about it is as the noun's scope. It's basically the grammatical system that tells us whether we're talking about any old thing in general, or one very specific particular thing. Nailing this down is how you move from being vague to being precise in Arabic. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the two states a noun can be in, definite or indefinite. Then, we'll talk about a special group of nouns that are always definite, no extra work needed. After that, we get to the main event, how you actually make a noun definite, and the super important rules that go along with it. And finally, we'll see how it all works with some real, practical examples. Okay, so every single noun in Arabic has to be one of two things when it comes to definiteness. There's no middle ground. You can really think of them as the two sides of the very same coin. On one side, you've got Nakirah. This is your common, indefinite noun. Think a book, a house, a student. It's general. On the other side, you have Marifa. This is your proper definite noun. So the book, the house, the student. It's all about specificity. And as you can see right there, the Arabic words look different too. Now, before we get into how you turn a regular noun into a definite one, we need to talk about the exceptions, the nouns that are kind of born this way. They are marifa from the get-go. No changes, no additions. Let's see who they are. So here are the main categories. You've got proper names, which is the most obvious one, right? Hamid or Baghdad are specific by nature. Then you have pronouns, like he or I. They have to refer to someone specific. Same thing with demonstrative pronouns like this or that. You're literally pointing something out. And finally, relative pronouns, like who or which, also connect to a specific thing. All of these guys are definite by default. So, what about everything else? All those other common nouns? How do we take a nakirah noun and make it specific? Well, this is where Arabic's definite article comes into play, and it is incredibly important. The process itself looks dead simple. You start with your indefinite noun, like kitabun, which means a book. Then you just stick the definite article al right on the front, and boom, you get al-kitabu, the book. Easy, right? But, and this is a big but, adding al does way more than just change the meaning. It causes some major grammatical side effects you have to know about. And that brings us to one of the most important parts of this whole topic. When you add al, it sets off a little chain reaction of 3 grammatical changes. You really need to get all 3 of these down. Okay, effect number 1 is the obvious one. It makes the noun definite. I mean, that's its whole job, right? It takes the noun out of that general bucket of a thing and points to the thing, the specific one we're all talking about. Now, here's effect number 2, and this one is huge. The definite article al and tanween, you know, those double vowel endings like on, an, and in that scream, I'm indefinite, they're like oil and water. They absolutely cannot exist on the same word. Think of it like this. When al walks in the door, tanween has to leave. That on ending becomes a single an becomes a, and in becomes e. This is a hard and fast rule, no exceptions. The third effect is a little more advanced, but it's super useful to have in your back pocket. There's this special category of nouns, called ghair munsarif, that are kind of picky about their endings. Normally, they can't take a kasra, that I ending, in the genitive case. But when you add al, it's like a magic key that unlocks that ability, letting them take the kasra after all. Don't worry if that's a bit much for now. Just tuck that idea away for later. Okay, enough theory. Theory's great, but let's see how this stuff actually works in the wild. We're going to check out some declension tables, and you'll see that al and tanween rule play out right before your eyes. So here we have the indefinite or nakirah forms for the word Muslim. Just focus on that singular column for a second. You see muslimun, musliman, muslimin. You can see and hear that tanween, right? Those double vowel endings. That's your signal that we're talking about a Muslim in general. And now, check this out. This is the definite or marifa version. We've added al to the front. Now look at that singular column again. What happened? The tanween is gone. It's now al-muslimu, al-muslima, al-muslimi, just singular vowels. Notice the dual and plural forms are the same. That's because they never had tanween in the first place. Let's just quickly confirm the same thing happens with the feminine form, muslima. Again, this is the indefinite Nakirah version. Look at the singular and the sound plural columns. You can clearly see the tanween. Muslimetun, muslimetan, muslimetin. That's the sign of indefiniteness, plain as day. And finally, the definite ma'rifa version. Again, al comes in and poof, the tanween vanishes from the singular and the plural, and they're replaced by single vowel endings. So the number one takeaway here is this. If you see al, there's no tanween. If you see tanween, there's no al. They are perfect opposites. And here's a pretty cool little factoid for you. When you take a fully declinable noun, one that has both masculine and feminine forms, and you consider singular, dual, and plural across all three cases, and in both the indefinite and definite states, you actually end up with 36 different possible forms for that one single root word. It just shows you how beautifully systematic it all is. Okay, time for a quick pop quiz. Let's put this all into practice. Look at this word on the screen, al-muslimina. Based on the 4 properties we've covered in this series, how would you break this word down? Go ahead, take a second. So let's walk through it together. First up, definiteness. We see that all right at the beginning, so ding ding ding, we know it's marifa or definite. Easy. Next, gender. That ina ending tells us it's masculine. For number, that same ending tells us it's plural. And finally, for case, we know that ina ending can be either the accusative or the genitive case. See? All 4 properties, right there in one word. So to wrap this all up, this isn't just some tiny little grammar rule. Being able to tell the difference between a common noun and a proper one, between nakirah and ma'rifa, is absolutely foundational. It is quite literally the difference between a fuzzy, ambiguous understanding and a sharp, precise one. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Now that you have this new skill, the ability to spot a noun's definiteness just by looking for al or for tanween, how is that going to change the way you read an Arabic sentence from now on? Just think about that extra layer of meaning you've just unlocked.